Good evening, YouTube. This is the Midwestern Whisper, aka Tim, and this is Whisper 72. And this topic is going to be about the end of the world. Seems to be everybody's favorite topic these days. We're just getting closer and closer to the December 21st, 2012 Mayan prediction. Well, prediction loosely. I don't think the Mayans actually predicted anything other than the end of their calendar. I first read about the 2012 Doomsday scenario not too long after Y2K came and went without any problems. I think people were trying to focus on another end of the world, and it wasn't widely talked about in public yet. And when I first started researching it definitely freaked me out. But I've researched the end of the world things, predictions for many years. My mother told me when I was a kid that her mother believed that the year 2000 was the approximate time for the return of Christ, the second coming. So long before Y2K became an issue, my belief was that I wasn't going to live past 26, because that was the year 2000, my 26th birthday, and I thought that the end of the world was going to fall right on or near that year. Not before that, but as an adult, I read that Nostradamus predicted that something like the end of the world was going to happen in July of 1999. The quatrain says words to the effect of the king of Mars will come down from the sky in the 7th month of the year 1999. That's not a direct quote, but it's something like that. And they were talking about that on the internet. It didn't get the hype that Y2K got, but it was what I consider one of the first quote-unquote modern predictions for the end of the world. Well, that month came and went. Obviously nothing happened. Some people took it literally, thinking that Martians were coming. Other people thought that it had something to do with Mars itself, that it was going to leap out of its orbit, get close enough to Earth to mess up our orbit. Maybe one of Mars's small asteroid moons were going to crash into Earth. And then there was another theory on that said they thought that it had something to do with just the skies and space. And we had a nuclear-powered satellite. I think it was a satellite. It might have been a robotic surveyor. I'm not sure, but I think it was called the Cassini. Well, either way, it had like 70 pounds of uranium or plutonium, some radioactive ore in it. And if it had burned up in the sky, it could have infected large areas of Earth with radioactive elements. But obviously nothing happened. And then we went on to Y2K. And if you're old enough to remember it, they were predicting mainly computers shutting down, because they didn't think that the computers were going to be able to read the dates, because the computer system actually only read 2 numbers. And when it switched to 2000, they were afraid that the computer would see it as 1900 instead of 2000. And obviously that's not correct either, so the it basically would cause a loop and cause the computers to crash. And planes were supposed to fall out of the sky. The electrical grid was supposed to shut down, and I think there might have been a few minor glitches, but most people that had a lot of money invested into their computer systems spent the extra money to get it Y2K formatted, and obviously nothing happened. Okay, so now we fast forward 11 years. Well, let's not go quite 11 years. I know I should be more organized than this, but my head's kind of spinning on it. I told you earlier that I read up on this Mayan calendar thing, probably as early as 2001. And it didn't really start getting into the public that I noticed till about 5 years ago. Probably around 2006 or so is when they really started, everybody started knowing what this was about. Even 2 or 3 years ago, you'd come across people on the internet once in a while that didn't know what you were talking about when you said 2012. But I doubt there's a living soul anywhere that doesn't know what it's about now. Okay, well, as I said, it scared me early on, and then I kind of pushed it back. It was 10 years in the future. Didn't worry about it too much. And then when they started hyping it up again, or, the public started hyping it up, I had all kinds of people that were scared, and I was, telling them, now, come on, there's just too many different scenarios. I mean, they're talking about everything. With the July 99 situation, it was one thing. With the 2000, it was only, some people thought it was the second coming, but most people thought it was just the computer shut down. This 2012 thing is nothing one thing said. I mean, they're saying a wide variety of things. I mean, they're talking about Planet X crashing into us. They're talking about sunspots. They're talking about galactic alignments that happen every 26,000 years, and that they're afraid that there's going to be some kind of gravitational pull that's going to rip apart our planet, our solar system, our galaxy, which that sounds just crazy, because 26,000 years is a blink of an eye when you're talking about galactic lifespans of millions and billions of years. So the galactic alignment happens every 26,000 years. There's been many of them, thousands. And I think that I actually remember somebody that was refuting it said that it's a galactic alignment. From our perspective, it's not a galactic alignment for the whole galaxy. So yeah, kind of like an eclipse. If you were on another planet, you would not see the eclipse the same way that Earth people would. Is your viewpoint. And there's many other scenarios. But I talked about it a lot more starting about 5 years ago, trying to convince friends and family there's nothing to worry about. But then here, starting in 2010, but especially in 2011, look at all the destruction, all the strange things that are happening. I mean, we've had, I don't think it actually beat the record for deaths in one season, but the United States has come close to tornado deaths, to getting close to that record. And earlier in the year, with the earthquakes in Japan, and a few years ago the tsunamis, and the heat waves that just never seem to end, and dying or beating records left and right. And And now these earthquakes that happened in the United States, maybe, if one or two of these things had happened, you wouldn't put it all together. And, obviously, if you weren't aware of the prediction for 2012, maybe you wouldn't think anything of it now. See, my mind is split on this because earthquakes are very common in many, many places. Even if it's not common, there's almost no place that's immune from earthquakes. The same as tornadoes. They may be a lot less frequent, but they do happen. Colorado, that region of Colorado near the New Mexico border, does get frequent earthquakes, but they're usually low magnitude, generally not higher than 2.9. And this one was, I think, 5.7. And the Virginia is even less likely. But I did do the research on Virginia, and they have had 25 reported earthquakes since it became a state in 1788. Granted, that breaks down to about one every 10 years, but it does happen. But like I said, the Colorado area, it gets them. And this is not the highest magnitude earthquake ever for that region. In 1973, they had one that was a little bit stronger. So that in itself, if you could think rationally, shouldn't worry a person about the end of the world. It's just when you start seeing records being broke constantly, and you start seeing weather patterns and earthquakes and other things that almost never happen in certain areas, that's when you should worry. Rationally, it's just a coincidence that these two earthquakes happened. I got myself into a lather, I guess, because I just read a website saying that it was kind of odd that they were in two areas that generally just don't really have fault lines to speak of, and that they were about the same strength. I mean, they were like 1,000 miles apart, but most likely it's just a coincidence. But this website was saying that because there aren't any major fault lines along these areas, that to them it was reasonable to say that it was an outside influence. And the reasonings that they gave was sunspot activity, solar flares, I guess, are supposed to be high between August 22nd and August 24th, which we are dead center in right now. But I guess today is supposed to be like one of the highest days for this activity, and this is supposed to start tapering off tomorrow. And these other quote-unquote reasoning is that there's some kind of a comet. I didn't hear anything about this, but that it's yet to be proven that it exists, but they think that maybe it has some kind of outside influence. But comets, in my opinion, don't have the mass to have enough gravitational influence on anything. I mean, you got the moon, which is hundreds of thousand times bigger than a comet, and its gravitational forces on tides. I don't think that it has influence on seismic activity. Not that I'm aware of, anyway. Yeah, comets, their tails can be millions of miles long, but you're talking about dust particles. The nucleus, or the head of the comet, is generally less than 20 miles wide. So, in my opinion, that's just way too small to have anything, any kind of influence on an object as large as Earth. I don't know a lot about solar flares, but I know that they increase roughly every 11 years, and that we have had satellites knocked out, or at least temporarily knocked out. But there again, people were saying, oh, we have this every 11 years, and they almost always harmlessly bounce off the Earth because of our ozone. But then somebody said that the last time our ozone was a lot stronger than it is now. That's like 20% weaker now. So, I mean, the internet's a bad place to go if you want to be encouraged. It's just like any other media, I suppose. Negativity, doom and gloom. That's what people want to hear, I guess. Why? I'm not really sure. I guess it's more interesting than saying that this place is peaceful and that we're going to live to be 100. And our society is going to go on for millions of years. I guess that's not exciting. I try to stay encouraged. And that's just kind of my personality. I do get depressed. And I do get down. But there's something in me that usually tries to bounce back up. I try to find a little something to cheer me up. Try to keep me going. It isn't necessarily, great and wonderful things, but small things. And with me, I think that I'm not so much inclined to believe that the world itself is physically going to end, as much as maybe society may break down. Now, what would cause that, I'm not sure. I mean, there would probably have to be something fairly catastrophic to get, not to sound arrogant, but for the United States to break down. And really, I mean, there's not gonna be a coup that's gonna take over, uprise against the government. I think our government's too stable for that. So it really I would think it probably would take something in the line of natural disasters. Maybe a massive market crash, but we had that happen in the Great Depression in the 30s, and society didn't fail. Maybe a worldwide crash, possibly. But if I did see the fall of society in my country, I would tend to believe that there really probably was the end of the world, because I just believe that the United States is pretty stable. Not to say it's perfect, not to say that we definitely don't have faults, because we do. But I have enough faith in this government, this country, to believe that if it did fall, it had to be something very, very serious. And I'm not trying to get anyone down that might listen to this. I would welcome encouragement, because again, a lot of things I pick up is from the internet. But I did hear in 2010 that 2011 was the precursor for worse things to come in 2012. And that by the end of 2012 it would be the end. So, there's that. And the rational side of me still says, no, it's not going to happen. People have predicted the end since the beginning. And I might have mentioned this in other whispers, but in Jesus' time, before he was crucified, he said he'd come back, and the men thought that he was coming back in their lifetime. There have been hundreds of end-of-the-world predictions since the time of Jesus. And obviously every one of them are wrong. And most likely, the people who are saying this are wrong again. I know some people get off on scaring people. And there are websites out there that refute what these people are saying. I used to have it saved in my favorites. I might still have it. Let me see if I've got it here. There's one website I thought was pretty good. And let me see. I'm sorry that I should keep talking here because I have a dead space in here, but I might have restored my computer since I saved that. Apparently I did, but all you'd have to do is Google it, and there are websites out there that do try to give you hope. And this is not Christian bashing, because I do believe in God, but a lot of these Christian sites out there are now taking this and running with it. I don't know if they really believe it or if it's just scare tactics to try to get non-Christian people converted, but I don't know. It's frustrating. I hope that there are people out there that listen to this that refute what I've been saying today and give people hope. And I want to say that I still have hope. If I didn't, then yeah, what would be the point of going on? But yeah, tell me how wrong I am. I think I want to hear that I'm wrong for once. And I suppose with that, I guess we just have to go on and see what happens in the future. And you just don't know. Nobody knows the future except for God. And guess you gotta keep living. Yeah, especially depressing for me with my unborn baby, which is gonna be here any day. Yeah, she's still not here. We thought she was gonna be early. Now it looks like she may be on her due date, which is 4 days from now on the 27th. So, and I still haven't started that job yet. I go in for my second orientation tomorrow. The job starts on the 31st, and so hopefully that baby's born before that, so I don't have to take off work right away. I would assume that Kiwiwhispers probably doesn't listen to my whispers. He looks like he's pretty busy, but I want to tell him thanks for taking my suggestion on his, I think it was Whisper 41, but he read Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart and The Raven, which I asked him to in a request. My favorite whisper of any whisperers out there that I've heard so far anyway is his essay, Whisper 22. And I like his reading voice a lot. And I can't say that about other people. I can't even say that about myself. I tend to like to talk too fast and stumble over my words when I read. Out loud, obviously. But he does a good job. And he did a good job with that. And he got on it. He had it done the next day, I think, after I requested it. And so I was very impressed with his speed and his ability. And good job, Kiwi, if you ever hear this. And one last thing on the earthquakes. I don't know if I said it earlier, but I read somewhere that the Earth gets at least 1,000 earthquakes a year. So that's an average of about 3 a day. And probably many more that we don't even feel because they're too small. And I think you can't feel them much under 3, especially if they're deep-rooted. The one in Virginia, it was only 0.6 miles under the ground. That's very shallow. And they said that because the Earth on the East Coast is more solid, that it resonates vibration better than the softer and more broke up earth on the west coast. So that was why this earthquake could be felt as far away as southern Canada. And but my state, Iowa, I had to do some research on that. I live about maybe 8 hours from the New Madrid fault line in southern Missouri, which technically is the strongest fault line in the country. It's smaller than the San Andreas Fault, but and doesn't erupt as near as much. But it is possible to feel earthquakes that are in Missouri from me. I don't know that it was in that fault line, but in 2008, I didn't feel it, but people claimed all over the place in Iowa that they felt the earthquake in some place in Missouri. And we are in most of Iowa's in the lowest zone for earthquakes, and the research showed that there's only been 13 documented earthquakes in Iowa since the 1860s, and the most recent was in 2004. So 13 in the last 150 years. You can see we don't get them too frequently, so like I said, unless we start getting a lot more earthquakes in Iowa, it's probably not going to be something that we gotta worry about here. Yeah, the tornadoes is what we gotta worry about, and that's basically from March to about July. So I mean, you can't get tornadoes anytime, but yeah, that's the most severe time period. Alright, this whisper's longer than any whisper I've done before, so I am gonna close now, and I think I'm gonna go watch the movie Castaway. Tom Hanks. Something about that movie, I really like it. Survival things, I guess, and kind of on par what I'm thinking about already. It's not the end of the world, but yeah, for him it basically is. A lot of people think that movie's kind of boring because most of the meat of the movie is just him, not much dialogue. But I like it, so I'm gonna watch it again. I hope you all have a good night, and yeah, it was about 10 days again this time, so I don't know. Probably try to get another one in here before I start my job, because I'll be working 6 days a week, and probably won't feel like doing whispers after that. But I can almost guarantee that the next whisper, my daughter will finally be here. My wife, oh man, her belly looks like a bubbling, I don't know what. Her belly's got weird shapes. That baby's ready to come out. And she had another ultrasound, the 6th or 7th one. The baby's 7 pounds and 4 ounces right now. She's already 1 pound heavier than my son was.